Hello everyone, it's me, it's Dreamer. I hope you're doing well today. I'm coming to you with a new video. It's called The Good, The Bad, and the Ugly. It's basically my observation of Phase 2 to date. Obviously we've only had a week of Phase 2. However, a week is a lot of time in AFK Stage world. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to come to you with some of the good things that I've seen in the game, some of the bad, and some of just the downright ugly. And the way that I'm going to split this up is the good stuff is what I want to praise the developers for doing, or the game has been doing in the last week. The bad are things that I think need improving, or that I've personally just not enjoyed in my first 7 days of Phase 2. And then the ugly are, to me, critical things that need to be addressed, and addressed very soon. There aren't that many critical things, I'll be completely honest. There may be some things in the bad that become critical, but I'll talk to that as I go through them. So once again, like normal, there should be hopefully some timestamps either in the video itself or in the comments. Feel free to just navigate to the good, the bad, the ugly, whichever one you want to hear first. I'm going to run it through in the order that I said. So let's take it away with the good. And we're back with the good. All right. So the good. The first one, I want to just give a big shout out to the community. The Yafala community have been fantastic for the last 7 days. I genuinely have had a lot of fun. And it's not just the Yafala community. Anybody that I talk to regularly in game, on my friends list, I just want to say a massive thank you for making Phase 2 enjoyable and a lot of fun. You guys and girls are awesome. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Really appreciate that. You've made it a good experience. Okay, moving on to the game aspect. The first one is the pacing of the experience. I'm holding my hand up in real life. I am the first person to criticize this game over the last couple of phases in Season 4 and this season for its absolutely diabolical XP pacing. Whether that's a case of we've made a mistake, suddenly here's 1,000,000 experience points last phase, or in Phase 3 when they made the drastic change, but they didn't do it for VN, but they did do it for Global, so you suddenly had two very different outlooks on the game. Like they've just handled it really badly. And I want to say 7 days into Phase 2, it feels pretty good. I don't know whether that will continue, and maybe that's something I'll touch upon in a later video. But for now, I'm giving, once again in real life, I'm giving them 2 thumbs up. I've enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Good job. Now, AFK stages themselves have also been a lot more enjoyable to me. I know that there are some really frustrating stages towards the later end of the normal stuff, like 584, 591, 598, 1167, 1157, but there's nothing like 567 from Phase 1. All of these stages are doable, but they're just slightly difficult or slightly frustrating or slightly annoying, and there is some things that I'll point out in later sections around 1 or 2 of those stages that could be amended, but we'll get there. But for the most part, I want to give them praise because they said that they would make them easier. I've had in-game feedback from a handful of players, and my perception of that feedback is that even though they don't have Saida, they're enjoying and still able to push happily and comfortably beyond the daily cap. So I think that once again, that I'm hats off to the devs. That's a fantastic change, and I'm really happy to hear that the people that don't have Saida are still able to push quite aggressively. So that's cool. The last good is Mahira. Mahira has been a fantastic addition to AFK stages. Once again, I thought that she would play rock, paper, scissors, like she would trade spots with Iron or Lucy in that 3, and she has. You know, we still see stages where it's Mahira Lucy or Mahira Iron or just one of the 3 of them, and I like that. I think that's really cool. In my original review of Mahira, I said that I don't think S Plus would be required, but it probably would be if you get to high deficit. And that is the behavior that we're seeing. I think yesterday we had a lot of people in the community, in the Discord chat, asking about do they need S Plus Mahira for, I think it was 1170 was the stage number. And there were some stages even the day prior to that, like 1138 and 1148, that had really, really aggressive damage checks. The answer is you do in deficit. If you are a really hardcore high deficit pusher, you're gonna probably have to build her. Similar to the fact that you had to build Kulu because she is needed at S Plus for the range defense, you're going to have to build Mahira. And that's just the price that you pay as someone that wants to push at the sharp end. I don't think that's a potentially a bad thing, which is why I've left it in the good. Because once again, fundamentally, the 15% damage that she provides is a huge difference maker in these really, really aggressive damage, effectively, checks that we're getting in stages. And it seems that we're going to get a lot of those in Apex. Now, a nice little interaction, something that I ideated and figured out, I think it was on 1148 or 1138, one of the two, with Panda, shout out to Panda, was the fact that Mahira doesn't do a lot of damage herself. We all know that. So when you get to Valara's execute phase, once all the circles are lit, and Bale is doing his thing, you know, slashing his blade, make sure that you are, if you have S plus Mahira, you are overlapping the charm with as many of Bale's slashes as possible. So let Bale just do his thing, but make sure you are trying to time your charm's kind of like normal ability and your ultimate around Bale's damage. Because Bale does a lot of meaningful damage, and Mahira enables you to do 15% more damage when a hero is, or an enemy is charmed. So 15% more damage on a Bale slash is huge. So that's just like a neat tip, trick, whatever, that I wanted to mention. In terms of anything else, I think that's it. Maybe the only last one to mention is the fact that charms, once again, it's not a huge part of AFK stages, and it's a separate game mode, technically, Endurers. But charms haven't played like a holy hell, I can't do this stage because I don't have this charm. We've not had that behavior yet. But given how flexible Duras is, it was really easy just to like build the ones that we did need, like Hugin, Valara, Faramore, Saida, Baelren, Kulu. I'm trying to think of any others. There's not many that we've drastically needed, like Theodore. You know, there's one from each class, and then like maybe a potential second that you can just go get. So really hats off to the devs. Once again, the Duras change has been phenomenal to me, in my opinion. So that is definitely something worth praising as well. All right, on to... actually, I'm going to leave this section in the good, and it's going to kind of overlap into the bad. It's called the bood. It's the bad and the good. And it's Phantomals. I don't know whether I should classify Phantomals as a good thing or a bad thing, which makes me feel like if I can't say something is good, it's probably bad. But if I can't say it's bad, then I don't really know. The reason I think the Phantomals have been not good is there is a lot of randomness in one of the most popular Phantomals, and I will show you what I mean. So on screen right now, hopefully, are, if I've done it correctly, some side-by-side clips of black hole behavior from Elucia. Now, why is this a bad or a good? A, it's good because I love the ability. I think the ability is amazing. It's really fun. It's very cool. That's the good. The bad is in AFK stages, we all know that we are limited by the number of attempts we can have in a certain, basically set period of time. If you are effectively doing one of your attempts and the way to solve or beat the AFK stage is to have the enemy team get pulled in a certain direction, and there are 3 possible directions that the game will pull the heroes in, that is out of my control. That is not fun. That is just bad. That is poor design. It needs to be more predictable, and I appreciate there is some nuance to that about where they're going and why they're going. But I don't understand. There was a stage earlier where effectively Saida died, and Saida had the marker, so she dies and she respawns at the start of the map. And for some reason, sometimes it would take her death point as the pull point, and other times it would take her new spawn point as the pull point. That is not cool, and that is definitely down to when she's dying, by the way, and that's down to like damage numbers. But there's just so much randomness involved in it that it creates this, well, I've just wasted another attempt, go again. Oh, I've wasted another attempt, go again. And when it's done on the pull, as the examples are showing or have showed, that is even worse, because I have no control most of the time in how my heroes are pathing. If I just have pressed battle and it's the same formation, and just because I've pressed battle and they've decided to walk in a certain way, I'm punished for that, versus if they walk in a different way. Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't left a good taste in my mouth. Now, saying that, another observation, the Lightbearer Phantomall has disappeared. Has anybody seen Testo, whatever his name is? Like, we used the Lightbearer Phantomall a lot in phase 1, and we used him like a handful of times really early on in this phase. He has disappeared. Like, the statue stages have just been Celestial Hypogean. I'm like, there was a 1157. I woke up and somebody was like, yeah, it's a double Hugin synergy. And I was like, ah, okay, double Hugin, that must mean it's Lightbearer. And I went to set up to be 90 Lightbearer, and they're like, no, it's a wilder stage. And I'm like, what? I'm sorry? It's like, yeah, it's just a wilder stage. It's like, okay, sure. Like, they've just not been used. So I found that really interesting. Basically, it's just been Celestial Hypogean and Wilder as the 2 main ones. Mauler and Graveborn are just completely dead. I'm going to put the meme up. This is what it looks like, effectively. So yeah, I'm just, yeah, it's been a bit weird. Anyway, now I've done the bood, the bad and the good one kind of thing. I'm going to now fully move on to the bad. Moving on to the bad. All right. I mentioned at the start of the video, the bad is things that need to be improved or that I personally haven't found enjoyable. You may have a different opinion to me, and that is completely fine. If you do, let me know your thoughts and feedback in the comments. And I encourage you to share your own bad view of the game or your own things that you've not enjoyed maybe from phase 2. But yeah, this will come across as slightly negative. I'm going to make it fun visually on the screen, but if you're just purely listening to this, it will come across as negative, and I apologize. All right, let's just jump in. The first one is that there has been too many Damien stages. I say that as someone that really doesn't like playing against Damien in general. There have been too many. And it was theorized and speculated that he potentially replaced Dunlinger in phase 2 in the kind of like stage pool of heroes. So every time we would have seen Dunlinger, instead we're seeing Damien. And honestly, I could see it. Just by the sheer number of Damien stages, both in Apex now and also non-Apex, it's just insane. And I think it needs to be improved. I just don't know why a hero is repeating so much. There is no need for it. You have such a vast pool and makeup of other heroes. Please add some variance. So that's the first one. The second one is a very early observation, but Apex stages feel tough. There are so many aggressive damage checks in early Apex. And once again, I say this as someone who is literally like pushing a very, very high deficit. It may be that when you get to Apex, if you're not there yet, you won't experience this. But right now, they are brutal. Like, we're talking 0-second clears consistently. Somebody earlier was like, oh, I cleared this with 1 second left. I had like a complete year to go. Like, it's crazy how close the clears are and how normal that is. And yes, the adrenaline rush and the fun that it gives you, but having to go through an entire stage of 90 plus seconds if you're playing on 1x, or you're having to do manual stuff, it can potentially lengthen that to lose because you don't have enough damage by like 1% because you haven't crit. It's very demoralizing. I don't think that necessarily needs to be improved, by the way. I think it's just something that I've not found enjoyable. I think that's where probably it sits in the categories that I mentioned. The second one is probably more towards it needs to be improved, and that is my feedback on stages. While they've been fun, there's been one or two that really I encourage the developers to figure out how this has happened. And the behavior that I'm talking about is they've gotten harder as we've gotten more levels. So the best example of this is Phantomal stage 11,167. So 1167. It's a statue stage, and for all intents and purposes, I think it was like a 3-shot. Like, it took me 3 tries on day 1 of it being accessible, and it was easy. And then suddenly this outpour from the community was like, oh my god, we can't do the stage, oh, we need help. And I'm like, what? You guys that bad? Like, these are really good players asking for help. And I'm like, what's happened? And you load it up, and they've got like 20 more levels or 10 more levels than I did, and their heroes just die. And I'm like, what? And the answer was to start removing charms from heroes, or like, it just was MacGyvering and cooking these weird concoctions to try and make it doable. And it's even worse today. Like, they've got another 10, 20 levels, and people are still stuck. And it's just strange. Like, how can it physically be harder at higher level? Like, that's something that really needs to be improved and addressed quickly. So that's something. I've got 2 more. One of them is Lucy. And once again, like in the good, I kind of did like a tip or trick. My tip or trick for the bad is that Lucy, for some reason, has now developed the behavior that she suddenly has enough energy and wants to ultimate in melee. So in the past, she'd do a little like kickflip, land back, and then be like, haha, Aquarius, come back, and summon him. Now she's like, all right, I've kicked, I'll summon my Aquarius, and then I'll get out of there, I'll flip. And it's like, no, we want you to, what you doing? So if you are running Lucy in a stage, I encourage you probably to manual her. Like, you're gonna need to babysit her quite often. That's something that I've not personally enjoyed, but something as an observation. Team, I forgot to mention a bad. I need to mention the fact that AFK stage records are still broken. We are encountering the same behavior that we did in Apex Stages of Phase 1, which is stages are being defeated and records aren't being recorded, and it's leading to a lot of people having to distribute the records themselves, which is fine. But once again, for your player that isn't woven into the community, they will rock up to an Apex stage and go, oh, it's not been done yet, when it has. That is not enjoyable. Fix it. Thank you. I originally had 14.5 minutes talking about equipment. I am taking that out. I am just doing a quick segment on equipment. I'm going to save my longer ramble about it as part of my revamp or overhaul or new idea for equipment video. But know that I really think it's in a bad spot. I think the game is doing a dreadful job at telling players how meaningful attack pieces are. It would seem obvious, and it is obvious, but to the average player, and to most players in fact, I asked a friend earlier, if I showed you you know, this box, what would you take? And he was like, well, I would take the 150 item level upgrade. Like, why would I ever take this one? And it's like, well, of course you would, because the number is 150 levels. But in reality, it's the wrong choice. Taking 150 item levels of a defensive piece is actually worse than, than taking like 30 item levels of an offensive piece. Because you're timing out. That's your issue. You're not dying. It's timeout. So it's one of those things that the game needs to do a better job at displaying and explaining. And once again, I mentioned this on stream, and I'll mention it here. In phase 1, there was a group of players that complained a lot on Reddit about the fact that AFK stages were too random, and that they had the same ascension and the same season level, and it was like season level 400 and something was the example. They had turned up to an AFK stage, they had the exact same build and layout and formation as their friend, same ascension, same charms, but they couldn't do the AFK stage, they were just timing out. And I remember the devs commented on it, or at least the subject of it, in the recent like chat, and I'll try and find the general wording of what they said in the chat. But effectively they were like, well, we're going to try and reduce the randomness or something to that effect. I don't think it's randomness. I think it's equipment. Like, most of the time, for example, today, I've rocked up to an AFK stage, and I'll show you an example on the screen, and my Baelren is like Screech from Saved by the Bell. He is tiny. But you look at, you know, one of my friends or someone else's Baelren, and they are massive, and it's because I didn't take a warrior piece of equipment in the later 800s in one of those boxes, but they did. And hats off to them for planning around that. That was my mistake, and it was their, you know, their smart decision. But if I was someone that didn't know that this kind of happened, or this interaction was a thing, I would be there going, well, what's the difference? You know, my Baelren's the same as theirs. What's the difference? I'm just timing out. And I could see where the community then builds that frustration and where this outcry comes from. But the game is doing an awful job at educating anybody on this. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I want to talk a little bit more in depth about it. I also have an idea how you can make it more educatable and more easier for a player to understand. But yeah, watch out for a video of me doing this in depth. Cool. On to the ugly. The ugly. All right. No. I'm gonna come across as a massive complainer in this one. Oh. Alright, I'm doing it anyway. The ugly. Please still be subscribed to me after I've vented. It's only 2 things, I promise. It's not long. So the first one is the poor performance of the game in Phase 2. The UI has been abysmal. Like, dreadful. The clicking bug, the lag, the black screens, the crashes. The performance of this game has been dreadful in the first week of Phase 2, and I don't really know why. Obviously the developers do, but it needs to be fixed. So come on, Lilith, please. Can we sort that out? The amount of times on stream that I'm like, because I'm spam clicking copy on the formation, and you accidentally exit out the stage and you come back in and it's not taking the team that you were using, it's taking the team that you used last Tuesday before you went for dinner, and it's just, what are we doing? Like, please, come on, guys. That's one. That was pretty quick. The second one is something that you may not be aware of. It's the fact that the mobile version of this game and the PC version of this game work differently. They have different behaviors, and it was recognized by support recently that this is something they're aware of, and it seems like they have no remediation plan, by the way, to fix this. It's just something that we as a community and a player base probably have to deal with, and if that is the case, that is outrageous. I can't get over how poor that is as a statement. Effectively, I'm going to put 2 videos up. This one I am going to shout out because I said I would. it's Verts. He shared these videos with me. The first time I experienced this was in the Wilder Tower. I think it was like floor 101. And I noticed in a replay that Snow Stomper was using his ultimate effect later on. But the behavior that you're seeing is that the difference between PC and mobile is about a second. And the second is the Snow Stomper is either ultimating at the start or he's waiting. And that has both positive and negative like impact. It can impact the player positively, like it could make it so that you can do a stage. It could also have a negative impact. It could make a player not be able to do a stage. This needs to be addressed. You can't have two different versions of a game. You can't say to me, oh, don't worry, you can't do this AFK stage on PC. Just log on to your phone. At least I think that's poor. That's like I said, these are my opinions. Some people might be like, oh yeah, I love the fact that I can play this game on multiple platforms and it plays differently on multiple platforms. That's kind of cool. It's a niche thing. But to me, as someone, let's say you only have a phone. Let's say you don't have a computer. Imagine being like, oh yeah, you're bricked. You need to download it on PC to get the different behavior. Well, okay, I'll go to the library. Like what? Like I don't know how to do that. So it's a weird one. Like I obviously PC people most likely have a phone, so you can go the other way. But people that have a phone can't go PC most of the time. So it's, yeah, to me I think it's really poor. I really do. I'm gonna finish here. I just think both of these things, both the UI and the fact that the game is for some reason working differently between two different platforms, both of these things really, really need to be addressed and looked at. I am a very small content creator. I've only just started. I'm probably far out of line even suggesting these things. But for all intents and purposes, that's my opinion and my feeling and my feedback, so I'm giving it. Okay. Now we're going to go into the summary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the summary. I'm going to bring it all the way back to a positive, because I appreciate I went good, positive, bad, negative, ugly, very negative. So I'm going to bring it all the way back to the positive. I think Phase 2 has been very good. I've heard some very good things from a majority of players. Some that didn't enjoy Phase 1 have very much enjoyed Phase 2. I think this channel, I should say, is primarily about AFK Stages, but taking one eye off AFK Stages and just looking at Phase 2 in general, I think it's been really good. I do think, like I've said throughout the video, there are some things that need to be improved. I think there are things that are critical to be addressed, but foundationally, they have made some very good improvements, and I'm looking forward to the rest of Phase 2 and Phase 3. I also am really looking forward to Season 6, I'll be honest, but it's too early to be like, come on, Season 6. So yeah, I'm done with today's video. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support. I mentioned during my bad section that I'll be doing a video of an idea for equipment. I hope to get that out in the next week. So yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. Please share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your opinions. I'd love to hear your good, bad, and ugly. It may be that you say good, AFKJ, bad, for my social life, ugly, dreamer. I don't know. You can say what you want. But yeah, I just would encourage you to share your thoughts, your feelings. If you are interested in checking out a live stream, I live stream every so often. Just check the live tab, click the bell. I think if you click the bell on YouTube, you're notified when I go live. Something that I'm going to make an educated effort to do while I'm rambling towards the end of this is any AFK stages that I think aren't ridiculously hard, but I want to upload because people ask for them. I'm going to just continue to not hide, but effectively I have an option, I think, in YouTube settings to not publish it to your feeds. So if you're ever stuck on an AFK stage and you haven't seen me upload a video for it, just double check in the playlist. I've created a playlist for phase 2. It may be in there. It's just a case of I might not have published it to your feed. So yeah, that's everything. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you as always for the support, and I'll see you in the next one.